What is up? My name is Douglas Nyback. This is DNA, and here are 8 tips that every beginner actor should know before they start auditioning. Tip 1, you gotta learn the foundations of the frame. Auditions used to be in person, they're not in person anymore. They're almost all entirely self-tapes. So in person, there was a camera operator who would be there, who would start you in this shot, which is what's called a mid. And then they would eventually zoom in to about here for a close-up. The close-up is the close-up of coverage on the day. Universally understood that when you're making a TV show or a movie, you need to get the mid, you need to get the wide, and you need to get that close-up. Bulk of the edit when you're watching something tends to live in the close-up. So you are auditioning for the close-up, and I am alone in a room, which means there's nobody here to punch in on me. So when you are doing a self-tape, you need to know that taking a step in front of the mark puts you into a close-up. When you choose to do that is entirely up to you. Taking a step back from there puts me back into a mid. And then taking a step back here puts you in a wide. Why is this important? Here in the mid, this is where you are lit to look and feel your best on any given day, whatever that means for you. You can exist in a pretty subtle place here. You can also bring movement and life to the frame. Once you step into the close-up, it becomes exponentially more subtle what keeps the frame alive and active. So the process of performing becomes more physically subtle. This is an important thing to prove to them that you can do in the vast majority of auditions. Finding a place to put yourself into a close-up is important. It's also very useful to communicate situations where it seems as though you're getting closer to the person that you're talking to. So in this case, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm speaking in what I would call, like, I can fill the room. People in the room can hear me. But if I want to take this into a more intimate place, I'm going to take a step forward, and then I can start whispering, and people are going to believe that me and this person who is off camera are actually like really close to each other by simply taking that step forward and putting myself into that close-up. When I need to get big, I can often put myself into the wide. Here, I can be physically bigger without blowing out the frame. If I get too big here, I start to blow out the frame. If I'm in my close-up and I get too big, I start to blow out the frame. But if I really need to get big, I'll often try to put myself back into a wide so that I'm not making the audience go, whoa. That's what I mean by blowing out the frame. Understanding and knowing mid, close-up, and wide. This leads me into my second tip, which is talk to the microphone, not the person you are reading with. Meaning, vocal levels, volume. This is important because very often in an audition room, or even when I'm in here coaching, I'm standing like 8 feet away from the reader, usually. In certain audition rooms that I've been in, the reader will often be like 10, 15 feet away from you. Like, if you're actually trying to communicate and project the way you would when you're talking to somebody that far away, it becomes presentational, the way that you're speaking, as opposed to living in that, hey, we're just two people, a couple of feet away from each other, bringing it into the vocal quality, knowing that the microphone, I've got a mic here and there's the mic on top of the camera, the microphone is picking this up. We're speaking to the mic. On the day, you got a boom mic right here. You got a lav, right? You've got multiple sound recording devices attached to you, so you can go very, very low. You can straight up whisper. You can live in that like much more intimate style of performance. This is important for a lot of reasons. One, it's true to most dynamics of communication in most scenes. Two, it becomes harder and harder as an actor to bullshit when you're speaking to somebody in a really intimate way. And by actually performing to where the microphone, or what the microphone can do, what the microphone can pick up, you're stripping away so many layers of presentational bullshit. So speak to the microphone, not actually to the microphone, but understand that the microphone is there picking it up for you. You don't have to fill the space. You don't have to project the way you would in theater. Next, your face and your body need to be under your control. This is not to be confused with the note. You need to be small. I don't give that note because no performance you've ever admired could be labeled small. That being said, this can blow out the frame. And especially if you're coming from theater or just being a regular human being in life, like, we're pretty expressive people. When it comes to film and television performance, when I'm connecting to a reader, all of this, it doesn't always have to be still, but if I am moving my face, it needs to be because it is in my control. Otherwise, I'm just a painter who's having spasms. I'm not in control of the tool with which I am telling the story. So when I first went to theater school, first exercise they gave us, we had to deliver an entire monologue without moving our body in any way. We just had to be perfectly theatrically neutral, without our faces moving and without our necks moving, nothing. And it is shocking how long it took. It took like a couple of weeks for everybody to get through it, because your defaults, the way that you have been communicating, you have been building these for your entire life. So a helpful trick that I came up with when I was practicing this in theater school and that I've used since then teaching is, if you're in the process of trying to control your face, the biggest challenge is that you don't know what your defaults are. You don't know what your face is doing. So one, filming yourself is going to help, but two, a piece of Scotch tape or painter's tape right across your forehead every time you move. You will be very, very aware that you are moving. Give yourself a monologue, find something, it can be a paragraph you learned from a book, and just try to deliver it completely neutral so that you can work to get your physical self under control. Next is, how you feel about how you look day to day is an ever-changing thing, and how you present yourself in an audition matters. This is a minefield that I'm going to toss a bit of a hand grenade into. This is a visual medium. A lot of people don't like that looks and beauty standards and physical fitness and all of these things are a factor in the job that we do. At the end of the day, look at the people who are on the TV shows that you want to be on and ask yourself when you're auditioning, do I not look like those people, but am I presenting myself in a way that is congruent with that show? This is tough because some days, guys, I wake up and I feel super handsome. I look in the mirror and I'm like, what's up? Let's go. And other days I wake up and I'm like, my face looks like a catcher's mitt and I should just give up on life. And there is no difference in my face from day to day. It is my perception of it. The way we look and how we relate to ourselves in the way we look is a complicated thing, and it's a sticky note to give. If you're auditioning for a network series, you need to look more polished. Your makeup needs to be done. Your hair needs to look good. You need to present yourself as well as you possibly can so that casting watches you and is like, this person will fit that show. And I understand that that might feel yucky. It is a yucky part of our industry. And there are yucky parts of every industry. You work in finance, you're going to be selling debt that's crippling people as though it's a commodity. Every single job has these trade-offs, things that are really great about it and things that are harder, more nebulous and nefarious truths. And in our case, it's a visual medium. So that's something that needs to be considered. At the end of the day, you can't get up here looking like a schlub and expect to book work. Not that it can't happen, it's just not going to happen with the same frequency that you want it to. So I get it, feels yucky, and it is a reality. And I'm not going to coach you and say that this is not something that you should be thinking about, because it's something that you should absolutely be thinking about. And that's just the way it is. If you're not thinking about these things, like bringing multiple wardrobe options into a coaching or a taping, like giving different options, thinking about clothing that doesn't hide your body shape, but instead gives us a good idea of how you physically translate. This is not a world of online dating and Instagram filters where you can manipulate how you look and then show up on set and have everybody be happy. That's not the way it works. You need to represent how you physically translate in a way that is the best you possibly can on any given day. Next, as we've talked about coverage, you can dirty up the text. False start, stop, stutter. Film and television is not a perfect grammatical medium. We do not speak in perfect grammatical form. You are not required to be dead letter perfect in film and television. In theater, they're gonna tell you you have to be dead letter perfect, and it is more of a literary medium. It's a part of the cultural zeitgeist. Film and television, it's not. Dirty it up. Find your own rhythms within it. This is important. Speak to the ends of ideas. Don't speak to the ends of sentences. Everybody takes the same pauses everywhere else. You want to immediately start differentiating yourself as a performer in your auditions. Get off the grammatical form of the text. Don't speak in perfect grammatical form. Otherwise, you're going to be memorizing the cadence of 9 out of the 10 actors who are not going to book this role. You want to be that one who is willing to speak in a way that's unique to you and your rhythms. Which leads me to my next thing, which is, it is not a memorization test. It's not a memorization test. It's not a memorization test. I've said this before in videos. One, you can have your sides in your hands. If you need to look down, find the line, keep going. That's totally okay. If you need to call line, right? If you need to paraphrase. They understand that they're not getting a finished product. right? You want it to be true to what's there. You want to ask, did I do what was written? Yes or no. Did I do it in a way that was true to me? Yes or no. If the answer is yes to both of those questions, then they're never going to be like, this person's perfect for the role, but they said "and" instead of "and," therefore we have to pick somebody who's worse for it. Like, it's not the way casting works. I didn't believe this as an actor for decades, even though acting teachers told me it over and over and over again. Now, finally, I do get it, and I paraphrase. I paraphrase all the time. It's totally fine. Some directors and writers who are like super nefarious, like Aaron Sorkin or the Coen brothers or whatever, like where you have to be dead letter perfect, but they're so few and far between. The script that you're auditioning with is going to be rewritten like 50 times. It's going to be rewritten up into the point that you are done shooting it. It just never stops being rewritten. Understand that it's going to be constantly evolving. And if you need to, well, kicking ass in your audition, paraphrase rather than stop yourself because you up a line, just paraphrase. And you've reached the 11:11 moment. Thank you so much for being here. This is where I take a hot sec to talk to you about. The vast majority of things that I talk about in this video are covered and go into much greater detail in my online courses, which are available either for purchase at dnyback.com, or I put them all up on my Patreon, because acting classes in this economy, guys, it's real but expensive to learn how to be an actor, and subscribing to my Patreon gets you access to my entire Foundations program, which teaches people everything they need to know to craft a bookable audition, from receiving the script to completion. Everything you need to know about character creation, relationship dynamics, purpose in doing. So head on over there, take a look. There's stuff on there for free too. I really appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe. It really does genuinely mean the world. And anybody who comments and subscribes can comment 1111, let people know that you're here and it's like a thing. Anybody who does comment gets entered to win a free Foundations program, where I'll just freaking send it to you. Send it to you for free. You can have all of it. So comment down below. I appreciate you very much. And we're going to get back into the video now. Research the genre of performance that you are auditioning for. Most of the actors that come to me that are auditioning regularly, the first note that I give them, we do their first take and I'm like, cool, great actor. You're not doing the show. And that's what the bulk of the coaching ends up being. What does this style of show demand of you from a performance standpoint that if you don't do, when they watch it, they're going to be like, good actor, didn't feel like the show. They're not going to know that necessarily objectively, but they're going to be like, nah, it's not it. Like, good. And you'll get feedback. If your agent asks for feedback, they'll be like, yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it's just not it. You're not the right fit. But you can help them see you as the right fit by researching the genre, the style of performance, each genre, whether it's a medical, procedural, legal, police drama, HBO series, independent film, sitcom. All of these different genres have different performance styles. So watch the shows, and when you're watching your tape back, ask the question, does my performance feel like I could take it and put it right in the show that I'm auditioning for, or the style of show that I'm auditioning for? If the answer to that is no, you're not done yet. This stuff goes a really long way in our ultimate goal, which is to make casting sit back and be like, yeah, that's it. That's my show. Next, no performance you have ever admired could be labeled small. Somebody somewhere is going to tell you, hey, that needs to be smaller. Can you make that smaller? What that really means is take everything that you are doing and blow it through a straw. What it really means 9 times out of 10 is, hey, you're showing me what you think this is supposed to be. You're not actually just doing it with the person in front of you. And this comes from a million different places, but the number one place is that it comes from insecurity. It comes from, I did a lot of work and I want you to know. I want to show you the work that I did, because it's important and it's mattered to me. It comes from a very, very genuine, authentic place for actors. And it does not help us. You have nothing to prove other than, can you do what was written? So I understand the urge to want to show, and the only way to prove to them that you are good is to connect to the person that you're working with. It's a hard lesson to learn. It took me a long time to learn it. And sometimes I still struggle with it because I want to be validated. It's hard. It's a hard gig. And the more you don't book, the more you want to be validated. So the more you're going to lean into that bad habit. Insecurity is tough, and everybody has different journeys through it. And the simplest way is to just focus on other shit make it about what you're doing to the other person. And then most of those size notes are just going to disappear. Okay, that was it. Listen, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I took years to learn all those things. Often, a lot of the stuff that we learn as actors, in hindsight, we look at it and we're like, oh yeah, I got to control my face. Or yeah, right, close up, mid, wide, of course. These things seem self-explanatory, except they're not self-explanatory. I hope this provides a bit of a checklist for what you need to be focused on in order to have your auditions translate the way you want to. Obviously, there's more to it. There's so much more to it. If acting was easy, everybody would do it. But these things will make a huge difference, and they are things that from a technical standpoint in auditioning, it took me a long time to learn, and I really, really wish that I had had a video like this when I was starting out. So I hope that's what it is for you, and let me know if you have any questions, comments, confusions, or complaints down in the comments below. Appreciate you very much, and go be people.